Hi everyone, welcome back to Old Time Rock and Roll. I'm your host David Tear, where I've been featuring my personal top 3,000 songs of the rock era from 1954 to 1999. Today I'm up to song number 2813, and that one is Honolulu Lulu by Jan and Dean. This came out in 1963, and it was actually released on two albums. When it was first released, it was released in 1963 on their album Surf City and Other Rockin' Cities, and also in 1966 on their album Fillet of Soul. So it was a pretty popular song. I think it went to number 11 on the charts. And let me talk a little bit about the this was an American duo, Jan and Dean. I believe they were from California, Southern California, and they were kind of a precursor of the Beach Boys. I mean, they got started early. They actually got started as a duo in 1958, and they stayed together initially till 1968. So they were together for a pretty long time, and then I guess they split up and they got back together a couple times afterwards. First in 1973 for briefly, and then from 76 to 2004. So that was Jan and Dean, and like I said, they were an early surf band. As a matter of fact, I'd say they were probably the first band that really popularized surf music, even before the Beach Boys. Uh, I mean, their biggest hit was Surf City, which went to number one in 1963. This was actually the only number one song, I believe, on Billboard about surfing. You'd think the Beach Boys would have had one because the Beach Boys were a much bigger band, obviously, and they were kind of known as the band that kind of set the stage for the California surf sound. But they actually weren't the first. I was kind of surprised to learn this when I did. Um, I think Jan and Dean were personal friends of some of the Beach Boys, by the way, and I think some of their hits were actually originally done by the Beach Boys. I'll get into that a bit more, but let me just talk about their hit songs. So, like I said, they started pretty early. 1959, they hit their first top 40 hit. That was called "Baby Talk." That went to number 10. 61, they had a version of "Heart and Soul," which went to number 25. I think I featured a different version of Heart and Soul a few weeks ago. It was by the Cleftones. The Cleftones, I think, actually had a hit with that. I think the same year. I'm pretty sure the Cleftones came first. I'm not sure on that. But then in '63, that was really the year that Jan and Dean took off. That was kind of when the surf sound took off, by the way. I guess the surf sound was kind of the new popular sound in rock and roll in 1963. There were a lot of fads. I mean, '62 was the twist. I mean, there were just a lot of songs about the twist in '62. So that was a huge craze in '62. But then the next year, '63, I think it kind of became the surf sound, maybe the girl group sound too. There were a lot of big girl group hits in '63 as well. But at least from California, it was the surf sound. And I guess Jan and Dean and the Beach Boys kind of started that. So then in '63, they had a song called Linda, which went to number 28. But like I said, their biggest hit from that year was Surf City, was their only number one. And then later that year, they had the song I'm featuring today, Honolulu Lulu, which went to number 11. And then they had Drag City, which went to number 10. And then let's see, yeah, 64, they had Dead Man's Curve, which went to number 8. The New Girl in School, that was the flip side of Dead Man's Curve, by the way, and that went to number 37. And then they had another one of their biggest songs, The Little Old Lady from Pasadena. That went to number 3. And I believe the Beach Boys, I know they also recorded this song, and I don't know whose version came first. I know that Jan and Dean had a hit with it. I'm not sure. Maybe the Beach Boys did it first. I'm not sure. But then later that year, they had Ride the Wild Surf, which went to number 16, and Sidewalk Surfin', which went to number 25. Another interesting fact, I know they used the same melody in Sidewalk Surfin' as the Beach Boys did with a different song called Catch a Wave. And I don't think Catch a Wave was a hit. At least it wasn't a top 40 hit. And I remember when I first heard Sidewalk Surfing, I was really surprised because I'd heard Catch a Wave first. And I don't know if Janet Dean took the melody from the Beach Boys or not. I'm pretty sure they had permission, though. I don't think they stole it from the Beach Boys. I could be wrong. But anyway, in '65, they had You Really Know How to Hurt a Guy that went to number 27. And I Found a Girl, which went to number 30. And their last top 40 hit in 1966 was called Popsicle, and that went to number 21. So those were the hits for Jan and Dean. Like, they were a pretty big hit. I think they were the second. Yeah, I think I can safely say that after the Beach Boys, they were the second most popular surf band of all time. But a far cry from the Beach Boys, in my opinion. I love the Beach Boys. I don't know. Probably partly because I was raised on them. I mean, my uncle, he was a huge Beach Boys fan, and some of the first rock and roll records I ever had were Beach Boys albums, which my uncle had given to my sister and me. So, I was exposed to the Beach Boys very early on, and I still really like the Beach Boys, but I like Jan and Dean too. They had good hits. They just weren't quite as big a band. Another thing about the Beach Boys, I think, is to say is they were a very innovative band. I mean, they were sort of like the Beatles. I think by the mid to late '60s, they kind of went in a different direction, kind of like the Beatles. They had their album Pet Sounds, which was a very big departure from the earlier surf sound, mainly due to Brian Wilson. I think Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys was the main kind of innovator in their music. And Jan Dean and I think all the other surf bands, I don't think they were really that innovative. I think they kind of rode, if you want to, take the surf metaphor, they kind of rode the surf with the other surf bands, particularly the Beach Boys. But anyway, that's my profile on Honolulu Lulu by Jan and Dean. Thank you for watching. You guys rock. I don't know the surf lingo. Kawabanga. Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.